Greetings. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. This is Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Network, where tattoo artists, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are all encouraged to join into the live streams, to watch the replays, to inspire each other, and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. You are currently watching the TattooNOW show, a special edition with World Tattoo Events Mastermind Alex Van Dutch, and he is going to be interviewing Marc from Needlejig Tattoo Supply Company in the show The History of Tattoo Conventions. And Marc has been around to a bunch of tattoo conventions. So I'm not sure exactly where you're beaming in from. It could be YouTube or Facebook Live. It could be on the replays in the YouTube or the Roku or wherever. But this is it. You could always find the Reinventing the Tattoo app in either of the app stores. That's the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. You could always find us on YouTube or Facebook, and we will often be streaming out live from those platforms. You could be catching the replays on the Roku channel. If you go to reinventingthetattoo.com/Roku, or just do a search on Roku for Reinventing the Tattoo, you'll find it. We have, I believe, 15 channels going at any given time on Roku, including the Drunk Critique, against my better judgment. You could also be listening to the podcast in all of the usual places. That is Apple, Spotify. Again, just do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo podcast, and it'll be in any of your favorite spots. Now, all of that said, you could always find the latest event schedule. You can catch notifications on the calendar so you don't miss a show, or you can beam into your favorite shows. You could catch Reinventing 24/7. So if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're not sure what you want to keep you up for the next couple hours, or if you just want to recommend reinventing programming to a friend and don't know where to start, you could send them straight to the homepage of Reinventing the Tattoo, the official website, reinventingthetattoo.com. will always link out to the latest and greatest of everything Reinventing the Tattoo. If you are a tattooer or an apprentice hopeful, and you're on Reinventing the Tattoo in the upper right, upper left, I don't know, in the upper corner, there's a link that says, what are your goals? You know, fill out that form, let us know. And Guy has curated an awesome series of emails to help deliver you some resources to achieve your goals. Some of them are free, some of them are behind the paid firewall, but every goal has an awesome set of exercises for you to go after. Okay. Let's see here. A few ways to support the Reinventing the Tattoo Network. We have real-world events. April 11th to the 14th is the first Inspiring Tour. The website is inspiring.tours, inspiring.tours. The first one is going to be in New Hampshire at the Sam O'Reilly House. Sean Barber will be doing a still life painting workshop the first day. Nick Baxter will be doing a plein air the second day. And then the third day, they'll be doing a collaborative tattoo. And then the last day will be informal critiques, field tripping, and basically going over what everybody learned. These Inspiring Tours are limited to 5 people, so they sell out within days. So sign up to the mailing list if you are an artist and you're interested in spending 3.5 days with 2 awesome mentor-type people in great locations. May 20th to the 22nd, Hell City, Columbus, Ohio. We'll have a big reinventing room, full seminar room, hellcity.com. Derb's awesome, has every detail meticulous for his convention. Hell City, May 20th to the 22nd. June 10th to the 12th is Ink Mania down in the Tampa area. It's right near the Dolly Museum. There'll be a full seminar day for reinventing there also, and booths and whatnot. Phil Holt, Stefano Alcantara, they'll be there in person teaching some seminars or workshops, going over actually a lot of critiquing, both portfolio critiquing and career critiquing. And then Guy will be beaming in to do an exercise leading up to an onstage art jam, which will be pretty fun. Anyways, June 10th to the 12th. June 12th, that Sunday, is going to be the Reinventing Day. InkManiaExpo.com. July 29th to the 31st, Rubber City Tattoo Invitational in Akron, Ohio, hosted by Tony Urbanek. Pretty awesome. So those are all the live events. I think there's more Richmonds in October, and there's another Hell City in August, but that's what we're going to plug right now. Okay, upcoming professional development and on-demand events can be found at Reinventing the Tattoo. There's a full schedule there. and a full set of courses. We have, let's see, Andre Malcolm's got a whole half, has a sleeve, a koi sleeve seminar. Bob Tyrrell has 2 seminars. He recently did one that's the black and gray skull from start to last call. It's pretty awesome. He did it at the Red Tree Gallery. Anyways, there's a whole mess of courses there. We can't teach you how to tattoo online, but these courses can help you tattoo better. Raw Pigments, rawpigments.co. Acrylic-free inks for your awesome tattoos. And because they're acrylic-free, they won't dry out in the ink cups or anything. Check them out. Rawpigments.co. Lauren has a lot of great interviews with artists that are using that. We have Needlejig Pro, known as Dermalize Worldwide, helps protect your art and heals tattoos. Saran wrap is designed specifically not to let air through, oxygen through, whereas Dermalize is known worldwide, Needlejig Pro in the United States, thanks to copyright laws. It allows the tattoo to breathe. It's designed to heal wounds, so check it out. There's lots of videos. Do a search for Dermalize. And protect your art. TattooNOW, that's me. I do computer stuff for tattooers, tattoo studios, and tattoo supply companies. Anybody that's helping support tattoos, making them a better place. I love to help work with technologies, different technology tools to help you kill your goals. And I have some real cool things that I'm putting together, personalized, automated systems and whatnot, and including interactive videos. So check it out, TattooNOW.com. And then last, but actually first in this case, is Guy Aitchison, GuyAitchison.com. Guy is the founder of the Reinventing the Tattoo curriculum and network, all of this. He's the reason why we are here inspiring each other and doing better tattoos. He also has an amazing professional development package for Reinventing the Tattoo that meets every Monday at 9 o'clock. If you are a tattooer or an apprentice, then yeah, it's like $50 a month for Evolve, $30 to do the drawing classes. Yeah, you should definitely be signing up and you will become a better artist. Watching the current class go through the first trimester, where instead of everyone reading the book on their own and whatnot, or the online experience, there's over 70 people now taking it together. And it's awesome. They're doing the exercises together and they're doing the Monday classes together. It's pretty sick. Anyways, GuyAitchison.com, reinventingthetattoo.com. Now, let's check out the history of tattoo conventions. Alex Van Dutch interviewing Marc Lescarbo. So yeah, there's decades of knowledge and information. Thank you for listening to this intro and supporting. Cheers.
Hello everyone, this is Alex from Works to Events. And as you all know, I'm doing a regular podcast together with Gabe about the history of tattoo conventions. In the past, we've been interviewing a lot of organizers and some very prominent personalities which attend a lot of conventions. So today I'm very pleased to have a chat with Marc Lescarbo. Correct me if the name is wrong, it's okay. Which has been around for a very long time. He's the head of the Needlejig tattoo supply. He's a tattoo artist. And today he's going to tell us more about his experience at tattoo conventions, which I believe he started attending over 30 years ago. Am I correct, Marc?
Just about, yeah, just over 30 years ago.
And do you still remember which one it was your first tattoo convention?
Yes, I'll never forget that one. My first tattoo convention I went to was an event called AmJam. It's American Jamboree hyphenated. Yeah, and it was a biker driven show in Albany, New York, actually Schenectady, New York, in the Armory, and my memories of that was very dimly lit, smoke-filled room, people tattooing with cigarette hanging out of their mouth.
Right.
I want to say I remember everybody had gloves at that point that I could think of for sure, but it was dark. It was, I don't want to use the term dirty, but yeah, it wasn't anything near what we experienced today. So that was an interesting event for sure. I got tattooed there with a homemade tattoo machine by a guy who just went by the term Tattoo Dave. And he did work on my arm, sort of started this.
Oh, you still have it?
No, yeah, this upper half sleeve. I had another guy start to rework it years later, but the majority of the work he did fell out in a few weeks during healing, and that was that. to be honest, that was my start in the industry because I was so frustrated. I was so angry because I'd gone there, spent good money, and I just
Well, good
blurted out
tattoo.
this. I blurted out the statement. I'm like, "This is bullshit. I could do better myself." And at that point, my girlfriend, who later became my wife, she was very supportive, and she said, "Yeah, you absolutely could." And that
So you were
kind
not
of
a tattoo artist
embarked
at
me
the time.
down that road. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I was kind of curious before, but I never thought about it really deeply. But that was the point when I was like, "Wow, I'm better than these guys," and
But how did
complete
you end up
complete
in?
arrogance.
No, I mean, well, I think a lot of people started in probably very similar ways. But how did you get into a tattoo convention first? I mean, you were not a tattoo artist at the time, right? So,
um, no, but I've
what
been an
did?
artist all my life, so there was and I had been tattooed at that point. I got my first tattoo when I was just over 18 years old, drove across the state line to Albany, New York, and got tattooed by Tommy Spalding. And so I had an interest, and my wife and I, or my girlfriend and I, were just barely started dating at that point. So we were just going to that event sort of as a date, just in, and we both ended up getting tattooed there. And so it was more of a social event for us, you know, hey, what are we going to do? Let's go look at the tattoo convention. And then here I am 30 years later.
30 years
So
later.
it was just like that. End of interview. Have a great day.
So, and that, now that's interesting for me. So, but because that convention then sparked your interest in really becoming a tattoo artist.
Yeah, well, because I made that statement, and anybody that knows me knows once I say something out loud,
Then
it's committed. There's
absolutely.
no turning back. So I've dedicated the last 30 years backing up that one statement, I think. So not that I haven't
Wow.
enjoyed it. I love it thoroughly, but I
Right.
mean that's how I am. I'll just spur of the moment, have a random idea that I will pursue to the end. It's just it
So that was
sometimes,
a life-changing moment then.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, some things I do, I put ridiculous amounts of forethought into it. And then there's other things where it's one of those epiphany moments where all of a sudden my life is altered from that point forward. I had a thought, I made a statement, I made a commitment, and that's it. There's no turning back. So
There's no way back.
yeah.
And
So
at that point, did you
mental
already have?
instability, I don't know.
No, well, I don't know. I think it's like it's. I think there is very often a moment in life where you experience something and then you say, okay, this is it, And yeah, I find it interesting when some people go to the conventions or 20 event or 20 situation where they get into something, into an experience which defines the rest of their lives. I mean, to me, that's pretty fascinating. I have a very similar experience. Once I went into my first tattoo convention in 1993 in Italy. That was the first tattoo convention in Rome ever, and I think the second or third ever in Italy. And I was a kid, 18 years old, and I went there and I was like, well, that was extremely fascinating for me. And it did take me a very long time to get into the tattoo world on a professional level, but I knew that this was something for me, like a lifelong passion, which I could get into it. And
Yeah.
by the way, so you mentioned this MGM, but it has been going until a few years ago, right? I mean, if I don't remember
It's
badly,
still
when
going on. It's
still going up. Oh, right.
yeah,
Okay.
it's more modern now, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like a normal tattoo convention. It's never been large scale, but it has a very devout following, and they still do it every year. I've gone back and later worked that tattoo convention a couple times in my later years when I moved back to the East Coast. So that
Right.
was like a full circle. That was to get the idea there, complete a journey, and end up being part of that experience was a pretty big deal for me
That's awesome.
mentally. Yeah.
So this has gone on for like over 30 years. This convention.
Oh
Then.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I remember the last post I've seen. It was a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if they're doing anything, if they're planning anything for this year or next year?
I'm not sure because it's at this point being a supplier, I mostly try to do larger shows,
Right.
and this is a smaller show. I could go there, I could have a blast, I can make a little money, but it for the amount of work we have to put into doing a show, I have to really pick and choose. And the truth is,
Right.
up until the pandemic, we were doing so many shows ourselves. I think our top was 24 or 25 shows in a year. And for the
That's a
amount
lot.
of, for the amount of materials and products that we haul great distances, because we don't have a dedicated staff. Every time I do that, it's me grabbing one of the guys from the warehouse and just embarking on this journey. So when I do that, I'm leaving the warehouse a little short staffed, and we'll put 40 plus hours into doing a convention on top
Right.
of our normal 40-hour work weeks.
Which is
So
as it is, right?
it's ridiculousness, to be
Right.
honest with you. So I had to pick and choose what shows I want to do and what shows I feel I need to be at and things like that. So, but I can look up the promoters. I can get them in touch with you if you want to do a little more work with them on their history. I'm sure they'd be interested. They're good people.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I'm always open for good collaboration. I mean, we do collaborate with a lot of conventions, even in US. You know, it's although like I'm more familiar with the European environment and convention industry and the Asian one, because I live in Asia, but I come from Europe. And so, you know, like US has always been like the biggest market for conventions. It's a country in the world where you have the most of the conventions. But a lot of it is still pretty unknown to me because I wasn't around, you know.
Right.
and
How
I
old are
wasn't
you,
born in
Alex?
the US. Well, I'm an old guy. I mean, I'm 49 now.
You're
So
49. Oh, I remember 49. Yes.
well, how about you? I think we are
I'm just
similar.
53. I'm not that far ahead of you. So,
All right, there you go. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't around like physically. I mean, because I lived in Europe, you know. So, and you know, like I've been looking at what happened in the conventions in US, like in the 70s with Ed Hardy, and then in the 80s, you know, and I'm trying to dig more about the history of this part because I've been talking to Gabe, you know, like there is a lot of information about what happened at the tattoo convention in the last 10, 20 years, but there is very little known about the pre-internet era, you know, and this is what I'm quite interested about because at the end of the day, like those events have paved the road for a lot of the people that came after, you know, like and made the tattoo industry what it is today. And so, but yeah, and so my point is like there is a lot of information which is still probably not available on who were the players at the time. You know, what did they really do to bring the industry where it is today? And for example, like you told me like you've been doing events in the last few years as a tattoo supply. Initially, you started as an artist,
right.
and you know, in your case as an artist, which one have been the conventions which had the most influence in your life as a tattoo artist and later on as a tattoo supply?
Okay. Well, I would say the most influential show I went to as an artist, and I didn't go to work. This was early in my career, so I was just there to participate. I flew down to Houston, Texas in 1996 and went to Lyle Tuttle and Dave Yuriku's show down there. And that was 20-year anniversary show of what I perceived to be the first tattoo convention in the United States, which was in
By Ed Hardy.
1976
Yeah.
in Houston. So that was a big event. I was reading about it in magazines because online was just in its infancy still at that point in time. And so we flew down there to experience it and basically got to the hotel, threw our bags in the room and wanted a drink, and we were hungry. So we went to the hotel bar, bellied up to the bar, and within minutes, Lyle Tuttle walked up next to me, ordered himself a drink. I
Wow.
introduced
Whoa.
myself, and that was my first meeting with Lyle. I
Wow.
introduced myself to Lyle. We had an awesome conversation. Obviously, he was more taken with my wife than myself, but we were having a great conversation. And then a really pretty young lady walked up on the other side of Lyle, ordered a drink, and that was the end of our conversation. His head was 180 degrees away from us, and typical Lyle. But I mean, within minutes of landing in that hotel, I met Lyle Tuttle, and that show really, really was like off the charts for me. For that started dozens of friendships that continue to this day. I got tattooed by little Vinnie Myers at that show out of Baltimore. On the other side of the pipe and drape was Tony Olivas tattooing, who was his wife at that time. I mean, I can't even, the amount of friendships that came out of that one show I went to was ridiculous. Waiting in line for breakfast one morning at the Shoney's across the parking lot, and waiting in line next to the Enigma, and Katzen, who was his lady at that time. And it was a long line. So we were just moving along slowly, started talking. By the time we got to the hostess section, we agreed to just be seated together and had breakfast with those guys. And just, that was the most influential show that I could remember. I met so many people back then. I can't even list them all. And a lot of old timers, people that I was just, I don't want to say in awe of, because I never get starstruck. I'll walk up and talk to anybody. They're just human beings like myself. I may respect what they do. I may love their artwork or their business model or anything else, but I'm never, tripped up and nervous talking to them for some reason. And that is definitely the most influential show as an artist, to meet all those people, make all those connections, lifelong connections, friendships, invitations to go anywhere. I mean, I haven't been in a lot of industries, but this is by far the best industry I could possibly imagine as far as that goes. Meeting people and the ability to connect and go worldwide if you want to. I mean, I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Maybe for some.
Yeah. Sorry, I dragged that on forever, but I do that with my answers because I like to
tell the
whole story.
I'm really fascinated by what you're saying, and I can relate to that a lot. I mean, like I also had like some single events which have been, like I wouldn't say like life changing, but they had a huge impact in what I'm doing now. Again.
Well, what was your most influential show you attended?
Oh man. A lot. I mean, like again, like it's okay. So the event where like you described now, Houston, where you see all the a lot of the tattoo legends of the time. For me, that was the case of London. The first time I went to London, and that was I believe in 2008. And I got to meet a lot of people which I've only been seeing like in magazines for years, for example. So but I'm a little bit like you. Although I was a little bit shy at the beginning, but I'm just somebody who go to talk to everyone, and yeah. So on that occasion, I met Shige, which for me was like I mean, he was already quite famous. Jeff Gouget. Later on, I met oh man. Yeah, I'm very bad with names, but I mean, I met some other guys, which then later on I had occasion to see at the times, and then like for example, then Shiga met him. Obviously, he didn't remember the first time he met me, but I remember him. I was just one more guy approaching him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then later on, I see him some other conventions in Asia, and then he figured, oh yeah, I mean. So that was interesting. And yeah, one convention, I probably mentioned this before, which for me was also quite interesting, was in Tokyo, the King of Tattoo in Tokyo, and then I met Horiyoshi, and a few other artists, which again with Japanese names I'm bad, but like very, very famous in Asia. And which had a pretty big impact in the rest of the world as well, including the US. Yeah, I met a London Jack Rudy as well, and I had with him a very, very, very awesome conversation, and I was very pleased to see how approachable he was. Again, he didn't know me. And
I've never heard those two words put together. I've never heard the word approachable with Jack Rudy.
I met him a few times, and every time it was like very nice. I don't know if it is, and had some really good conversation with him. When I met him in London, one of the things he told me that got stuck in my mind. By the time I met him, he already been to over 400 conventions. I got introduced to him, by the way. It's not that I just walked by him, but I got introduced to him by the guy which shoot the Tattoo Nation, and so he was being interviewed in the movie. So he introduced me to Jack, and Jack was like, yeah, extremely nice to.
No, Jack is awesome. He's not approachable by looking at him. He never has been. But if you're introduced to him, he's a very pleasant, talented man for sure. But it's just
not approach. Well, I didn't know that. Again, like I only see him like on on magazines or on videos and whatever. And that's when I met him. Like, hey, it's Jack Rudy here. But yeah, for me that was a big thing. I mean, it's one of these people which pretty much.
I remember meeting Jack for the first time, and I was introduced by a close friend of his and respected artist. So that meeting went well. But like I said, I don't get starstruck, but the two guys in the business that I felt slightly intimidated by were Jack Rudy and Tramp, and just because they're both big burly guys.
Jack is a big guy too. I mean,
right. So, but and they usually have that stern look on their face. They don't. A little later in life, they both smile a bit more now, but back in the day, they had that tough guy just appearance. So, yeah, you don't know if I'm going to reach my hand out to shake it, or he's just going to punch me and walk away. So,
well, that's probably the situation. Maybe you met him in like a few years back, so when he was a lot younger, and now he's a little bit older. And I would say it's like yeah, a nice guy. But I mean, the last time I saw him was in China, like 2 or 3 years ago, like before the pandemic. And again, great chat. I mean, made some pictures together and that kind of stuff. But anyhow, so, but
they're both awesome people. It just they're neither one looked approachable to me, anyways. My perception of it at that point in time, and I think that was just part of the character too, because Brian Everett and Jack Rudy were two of my biggest black and gray idols back in the day when I started tattooing. So I eventually, got to meet them both and whatnot. And Brian's a little more approachable than Jack.
That's an interesting perspective. I mean, it's funny like how you can have radically different experiences with the same people, but then again, mine were extremely marginal compared probably to yours. You probably had a lot more time to spend with him, and I only saw him on a few occasions. So I can't compare it to it. But still, to me, that's always nice. But by the way, like, are you still tattooing to this day or not? Or
I haven't tattooed in about 2 years now, and that's probably mostly pandemic related. But even prior to the pandemic, I'm only tattooing friends and family at all anymore. People I know closely, or people that just specifically want to collect something from me, a little bro tat or something. And that's about it. I have some sponsored artists that have kind of demanded that I put my logo on them. That's a little odd and creepy, but
how you do it?
but it's minimal. Yeah, I would say prior to the pandemic, I was on average tattooing no more than 2 or 3 people a year. And that's mostly due to time. It's a scheduling thing. I work pretty hard. My days are very full, and having somebody waiting for me to just all of a sudden have a couple hour window where I can maybe text somebody and say, hey, if you can get here in 15 minutes, I can, it just doesn't work out well. Typically, if I do a little tattoo, I'll do it at a show. Somebody will, I'll use somebody else's station, set up. I got a little time in the day, sit down, do something, and then just move on. So I still love it. And I hope to get back to tattooing a little bit more as time goes on, but I don't ever want to be, 10-hour days in the shop again. My hands just won't take that, and my back won't take it. But I still love it. I still feel like a small child living a dream every single time I pick up a machine. There's something magical about it, at least to me. It's not a job. It's the whole experience. And everything that encompasses it. That's it just makes me giddy inside. It's I don't know.
Makes you happy.
I'm a nerd. What can I say?
I'm nerd of tattooing. And how long ago did you actually start with Needlejig, or when did you really turn from tattooing into tattoo supply? Just
And that,
curiosity.
to
Yeah.
be honest, there's no definitive date because
Oh,
in reality, Needlejig started when early in my tattoo career when I was buying products from other people, and they were coming in and they worked, but they had shortcomings in different areas. Machines wouldn't be tuned well, or I could see room for improvement. So I would just make little modifications to the stuff I would buy. And then I found myself, instead of buying something and modifying it, uh, grabbing some raw materials and putting it together myself just from the beginning. So I was doing that through most of my career with different tools. And then I owned a machine shop. I had a small machine shop where I manufactured body jewelry. I had a body jewelry company called Captive Steel. Started that around 94 and closed the doors on that about 2004 because imports were just killing me and my profit margins. But I was using the machinery in that business prior to that for making the jigs. The jigs were a philosophy that came about in the very late 90s. I want to say the first ones were sold to the public in 2000 or 2001 at Inkslinger's Ball in Hollywood, California. So that was probably the official sort of launch. But I mean, I was making the jigs and making needles with the jigs in probably 97, 98.
97, right?
Yeah.
And
And then
did you bring
eventually
them
it dawned on
conventions?
me that, hey, other people might like this too. And then, I made a few for friends. Everybody that worked for me in my shop, I had the jigs I made for needle making. And then after a few other people heard about them and had a couple requests here and there and just sort of making them and either giving them away or selling them super cheap, I realized there might be a product there. And then I want to say, I think I made 50 of them, took them to Inkslinger's Ball, didn't sell one till Sunday morning, and finally got off my ass, walked around the show, went booth to booth, talking to every artist, explaining the principle behind it, and sold every single one by the time I got back. It was made, I think I was selling them for $20 a piece at that point, and I made $1,000 walking around the room at a convention. And that's when I realized this could be something. And then it just snowballed from there.
So this was the first convention you went as a brand, basically, as a tattoo supply.
Well, I went there as a working artist, and that's why I didn't sell any
Okay.
throughout the weekend, because I was in my booth, nose down and tattooing. And then Sunday, either, I don't know, didn't feel like working, or maybe it was slow, maybe I was hungover, who knows. But I was frustrated. I wanted to get my story out
All right.
because people weren't coming to me. And I was like, everybody should want one of these. Nobody knew what I had. Nobody knew where I was. Nobody knew who I was. I was just another tattooer sitting in a booth at Inkslinger's Ball doing tattoos. And so when I put the effort in, it got an amazing response. And that was the start of it all, really. So, yeah.
And then when you went back home and you thought, okay, now we can do something serious with this. And
right, lay out a game plan. How do I do this? I'm going to need a website. I'm going to need some method to reach people. I had good working relationships with a number of magazines here in the United States at that point, because for years I had been advertising my body jewelry company with them, and I had some tattoo pictures and whatnot in magazines, over the years. So I knew the marketing was there. I just needed to formulate a game plan and figure out how to get not the product out, but the story out. What makes this product unique is the important part. And yeah, it's been a strange ride since then. I mean,
and over the years, what has been your best way to market your products and your brand? I mean, and again, like what kind of weight did tattoo conventions have in this whole big picture? yourself known?
Well, the world is different now than when I started. Okay. When I started, the best way was honestly just putting forward good product. Marketing wasn't,
Wasn't a term in tattooing.
it wasn't a term in my world. And it's something I can't stand, to be honest with you. I hate the idea of selling my products. I want people to buy my products.
Right.
Unfortunately, people don't do that unless they're aware of the products and how they help them. So you have to market to some degree. But I was lucky enough in the beginning to have some really big artists that just jumped on my train right out of the gate. You know, Bob Terrell, Nico Hurtado, BJ Betts. There's just so many artists out there that would preach my product to others. And these are people that had huge audiences. So word of mouth was by far the best thing for my business in the early on years. And, you know, and now word of mouth helps a little, but to be honest with you, I see great products get decimated every single day by companies that have just massive marketing dollars. And so I see mediocre to subpar products being shoved down people's throats nowadays. And I sit back and I giggle. I can't jump up on a soapbox and tell the truth, because it doesn't put me in a good light. But yeah, nowadays marketing dollars, you have to spend insane amounts of money in marketing. I'm close friends with many other supply company owners, and there's a few I actually have insight onto what the marketing dollars are and stuff. And I can honestly tell you, I know of at least one company out there that spends more in marketing with Google alone than we generate in gross revenue in a month. So every month they're spending my entire gross revenue just with Google. And that floors me. And that's a game. I've got a marketing director here, Fernando, who's fantastic. Now he works his tail off to market, but I put limitations on what he can do, what he can say, what he can, because I don't want that sales pitch and late night infomercial look. I just want to put good products out, tell people what they do, and then it's up to the customer to buy them. That's my mindset. But I had to learn some marketing. It's just because you can't survive today without
Can't
it.
avoid it.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. But
I
it's
mean,
the
it
part of
was
the
like-
business I hate. You know, I used to do car sales years ago, and I got out of that business because I don't like that aspect. I like to be able to sleep at night with good conscience, clean conscience. So
Sure. Well, I mean, you like to have the demand, but you don't want to create it in a way. I mean, you don't want to, how do you say it? Well, it's it's an interesting perspective as well, this one. I mean, you want to sell, but you don't want to sell it. I mean, you know what I mean? It's
well, and just like we don't sell to non-professionals, the best way I could describe myself is I'm a capitalist with a conscience. So, and I've been saying that for years. I make a good living. I have a beautiful home. I have some other real estate. I've got some cool cars, boats. Recently got back into aviation. I live a good living. I'm not rich. I'm not wealthy, but I make a good living. And how much money do I really, really need? You know, I mean, some people are driven by that bottom line, which I have to make my bottom line work for my business, but I think there's more important things than just money. Now, given if I could make more customers happy and make more money, I will. But I'm not going to chase the dollar, I guess is the best way to put it. Where I got other friends in the business that will just, you know, they'll put their name and their logo on any product out there just to get more traffic, more whatever. And I'm like, and that's cool. That's their business plan. We're on different paths and I still love them and respect them, but it's just not.
I mean, I guess
my
we're
life.
motivated by different things, but I mean, if in tattooing, like your biggest motivation is money, it may work for some people. I'm not saying it will work for everyone, but I mean, I don't think it could be a
It works
defining.
great for some people,
Right.
you know, but I mean, I don't know. It's just me. Um, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be in business. I don't know.
But you do. And like I also been seeing with quite some interest some of the videos you made about tattoo conventions, and one of them was about how to with some tips for tattoo artists to get the best out of tattoo conventions. For the people which have maybe not seen the video, would you mind like going through again, like what is it that it could work the best for an artist to get the best out of tattoo conventions? And
Show up with the right frame of mind.
Right.
Just don't show up expecting that you're going to walk out the door on Sunday with $3,000 to $5,000 in your pocket. If that's your attitude going in, you don't deserve it. Typically, show up looking to have a good time, looking to network with other artists, and putting your best foot forward to make the people that come in front of your booth welcome. And that's it. It's going to be mindset. The drawings you do are secondary. The tattoos you do are secondary. People want to get really nice artwork with their tattoos, but I think the bonding experience with the artist is equal, if not more empowering to them. That's how I view tattooing. I walk around shows and I see people with empty booths that are miserable, and their booths are going to stay empty. And I see other people whose booths are empty and they got a smile on their face. They got some music in the back corner, and they're drawing and they're joking with the guys walking by and their friends. And those people have a better opportunity of making money and making friendships, networking, and all of that. So it's hard sometimes when you spend a lot of money, you travel a great distance, and you're sitting there and you're losing money, but you can't let it bother you. I mean,
no, I understand. I totally understand.
yeah,
I
the
mean,
way
I think you agree
the
point
way
here.
I've always looked at that, because I've always been a businessman. Even when I had a tattoo shop, so I understood profits, losses. My accountant explains, what works, what doesn't work to me. The best way I could deal with sitting in a show, losing money, was just in the back of my mind, knowing it's tax deductible. I'm not losing the money. I don't have to pay taxes on this at the end of the year. And it sounds silly, but if you just realize that it's never a loss, it's a learning experience.
That's another great point. Yeah.
That's the key. But going and having fun, meeting people, and making money is cool, and doing cool art is cool. But that, don't let money be your driving factor. Just go and enjoy the experience. That's what it's really about. Your interaction with others.
Right. No, I mean, that's probably I would place it probably between, probably the very first reason why a lot of tattoo artists should really take convention somehow even more seriously, is to, get out of your, get the
Well,
word.
artists need to be prepared. You need to show up with the right materials. You need to show up, mentally prepared, physically prepared, everything. You need to take it seriously. But show up ready to work, but your attitude means more. Your attitude is everything.
Yeah,
we all walk by people that appear, let's say, not approachable. That's a big factor. If you're a big, scary, angry looking man with a sneer on your face sitting in the corner, it's going to be harder for anybody to walk up, and timidly ask you, hey, will you do a butterfly on my forearm? Because it's just not going to happen. So
No, I mean,
and there are those artists out there that appeal to a certain niche client, and that's awesome. that's, bear with me, I got to turn my phone off. There's people that have specialties and they're going to do, they can look angry because they specialize in angry tattoos and dark tattoos and all that. And if that's your niche and you've built that and people come to you for it, that's awesome. I'm not pointing at those guys. I'm pointing at the guys that are sitting in the booth pissed off because they're not going to have enough money to pay rent when they get home the following week because they went into it ill prepared and with the wrong attitude.
Yeah.
You know,
Preparation. No, I think that plays a big role as well. I mean, that's another great point.
conventions are like gambling. You don't buy lottery tickets thinking you're going to get rich. You don't go to a
And then
convention
try if you don't
thinking you're going to
win.
make money.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple of tattoo conventions that honestly, I would be shocked if 20 people paid to come through the door all weekend. And that sucks after you spent thousands of dollars to be there. But at the same time, you can't sit there and be miserable about it. You're in a different
No, of course
town.
not, no.
Go out, enjoy the culture, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the people around you, make the best of it. Sit down with the other tattooers and just tattoo each other for free, drink beers, have a good time, and start
Take the
thinking about
best
the
out of
next
it.
one. Yeah, get the best out of it. Because, you see people all miserable, packing up, closing down, shutting down early, leaving their booths empty, all of that. That makes me so angry. When you make a commitment to anybody, anything at any time in your life, follow through, see it through, regardless. If you made a commitment to be at that show, show up early, be prepared, work the show. If nobody comes through or talks to you all weekend long, tough shit. Just sit there, have a good time, make the best of it, and stay there till the end of Sunday. Pack your stuff up. Don't return if you don't want to. Start thinking about the next one. But geez, man, you're only making, a bad scenario even worse. Because now for the few people that do come in the show, there's these empty holes. It's just a miserable atmosphere. It's just
mounting
not.
on Sunday morning. And
Yeah, you're not doing anybody any favors. In fact, you're burning bridges. You do that at a show and you're going to be surprised how you're not invited to other shows. You won't be back at that show, but promoters talk to each other or promoters go to each other's shows and they wander around and they see what's going on and they pick and choose who they want to be in their shows for sure. I mean, it's a tight knit community, even though it's world reaching. So.
yeah. So this is something which I want to ask you. I mean, you've been to a lot of conventions in US and your experience, and this is like a little bit of a nasty question. Would you say like the most of the convention, are they good convention that is worth to go or not? Because you have like over 300 events a year in US, and I always been wondering, I know like 10, 20, 30, 50 conventions which are probably really big, and there's good people behind them.
I honestly can't, obviously we can't be at all of them, so that's physically impossible. But I think most of the conventions serve a particular purpose. They may be, I think a lot of them are going to be oriented towards the immediate area that they're in. But I mean, there's so many shows, as long as they're well run. I hear of bombs every year, but most of the shows seem to do fair. Some do way better than others. I mean, you've got Philly and Minneapolis and Baltimore here, and Troy has a few others that are Chicago, monster shows that are just amazing. And then he has some other shows that are, I will call them normal conventions. And, where they're, to me, they seem moderate to slow, but they're actually really cool shows. But next to their big brothers, they look funny. Derb does a couple of awesome shows here for sure. Tramp Show up in Detroit. There's, I'm missing some, and I apologize to the promoters. I'm not trying to plug everybody, but I mean, like, there's some awesome shows here. Then there's like little niche shows. There's one in, I want to say in Pennsylvania, I've never been to, but it's done inside an old prison. It's Ink and the Clink or something like that, where it's an old prison that's been shut down, and
That's
it's
full
weird,
description,
but
yeah.
you know, it's cool. And then there's just like tattoo suppliers, people see the success of tattooing and want to suddenly be in a tattoo supply business. So they start answering emails from China, and they start buying products, and everybody and their brother wants to be a supplier nowadays. The same thing in
Yep.
the promotional end. Everybody's trying to throw a tattoo convention. And so I see a lot of people try that and fail dismally, but some of
So
them
what would you
actually
say?
build empires.
What would you say to somebody who wants to organize a new tattoo convention in the US? You know, what would your best advice be for them to succeed?
I would say make sure you're in an area where it's not being done well. Either there's no show already, or there's a show that's being done incredibly poorly, but uh, you got to be careful. You can't go into an area and start a show where another promoter's already got their foot in, especially if it's a promoter with any sort of experience, because you're going to lose regardless. But if Billy Bob tried to start a convention there, and he's unknown, and he's had a show and nobody came through the door, that's kind of like fair game. Still, if you think you can do it right. But in the last few years, getting to know promoters better, a lot of them on a personal level, the amount of work that goes into a show is insane.
Huge.
It takes a full year to prepare a show, and that's a full year of almost a full-time job. And if you don't have a team to work with, you better not be trying to do another job, because you're going to be working two jobs. And people can do it, but
But that's what I wonder as well. I mean, I see so many new people coming in, you know, like organizing tattoo conventions. Some of them are already coming from the industry, that are already quite known. But there's some other people. I mean, I always try to understand who is behind a convention, you know. So for example, like I get some submissions like, okay, you know, there's a new show, first annual tattoo convention, and I found it was a little bit ridiculous, because you can't call a convention the first annual convention, and it's going to last years. After 10 years, you can call it an annual convention, right? But and yeah, a lot of the people, a lot of the time, I'm surprised, like it's nobody you've never heard of, and trying to make a convention. I was like, whoa, you know, like that's a pretty difficult thing to do. You know, it's
tattooers have big balls. I mean, the successful ones in this industry, you've got to stand out. I tell people all the time, like I attribute my success to a combination of ignorance and arrogance. Okay. I don't know which it is. I don't know. I don't know whether I'm arrogant enough to know I'm going to succeed, or whether I'm ignorant enough to know that there's the potential for failure. I mean, I may not be aware of the potential for failure, or it's a combination of the two. I
that's
don't
probably
think.
what it keeps you going well. I mean, you know what I mean? Like if you're not really aware, like I may have failed because these reasons, but maybe you wouldn't start it at all, and then you wouldn't succeed at all.
Right.
So
I mean,
you know, so if you
anything
don't
you
know,
want to do in life, just start, man. If it's silly, I had a fortune cookie last week, and the fortune just simply said, begin. The rest is easy.
exactly.
And I was like, wow, how fitting. It's like, it's true. Most people will contemplate it, think about it, dream about it, wish for it to just magically happen. But if you put the foot forward, like these guys starting these conventions, well, they've got to try, and even if it's not a success, it's not a failure. You don't fail until you give up. So if you try it and it doesn't work, well, you try it again the next year, and it'll be a little better, hopefully, and whatever. And you build from the prior experiences. But very rarely does anybody try anything for the first time and make a major success out of it. It's not
That doesn't happen.
it's
I
not
mean,
practical.
no. Well, I think the problem is like at school, you've been taught to, if you fail, you suck, and but I mean, if you don't try, you can't fail, and if you don't fail, you don't move on. So I
Right.
mean, that's something you can apply to pretty much everything in life. But yeah, I think for tattoo artists or events organizers, that's a pretty uh, yeah, you gotta try over and over again to find what works for you. But
Edison with the light bulb, basically they asked him, how'd you invent the light bulb? He's like, well, I was running out of ways to do it wrong. I had to get it right. I would just say thousands and thousands and thousands of experiments that failed.
10,000 times.
Yeah. And
Knows
well,
that it doesn't work.
right. Well, how did you invent it? I ran out of ways to do it wrong. That's just,
That's it.
it's kind of life sometimes.
Mathematical thing.
Right. And I made major mistakes in my life. I've made some horrible investments. I've built some products that probably shouldn't have been built. I've you name it. I've started businesses that shouldn't have been started. I've wasted absurd amounts of money in different areas. But I try not to spread myself too thin with where any one major failure is going to destroy me. So I've been lucky enough to have none of my mistakes put me into bankruptcy or the poorhouse or whatever. I've had to go all the way back to zero and start over again, but it's always been something that's salvageable. Where a lot of people will just bet their last nickel on something. And now you got to be committed to what you're doing, and that shows commitment. But if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a plan B or a plan C, you probably destined to fail out of the gate. If you can't be flexible in the plan too, your plan starts moving forward. I don't think any product or any business move I've ever made has ever been a straight path from point A to point B. It's it's moving along, and the times change, and I need it. Like I said, I need to learn marketing. I hate marketing. I hate selling people stuff. That's one of the reasons I'm an artist, man. I want to create art, and a lot of my customers are the same way. I don't want to do a song and
Do you
dance.
think that this is a common problem among tattoo artists, like that they don't want to sell their art, but they have to because otherwise they wouldn't get enough work, or they're forced to be all the time on social media and be as active as possible and post anything they can about the work, or it's
the guys like that should just stick to painting, because tattooing is a customer service business. It's just, you need to take into consideration your client's interests and wants and needs, and it's not all about you unless you've built yourself to that plateau. When you're up there and you're world famous and you got people flying in from other countries and spending thousands of dollars a day, all right, yeah, you can do whatever the hell you want. But that's like, what? That's a percent.
1%.
It's a percent of tattooers around the world. Everybody else has to answer to somebody. I mean, I have to answer to my clients. I have to answer to my employees. I have to answer to my wife. I mean, nobody gets free reign of whatever they want to do. And to think that they do is they're just disillusioned. That's all, or they're in the wrong field. So I've been saying it for decades, is 90+% of all tattooers shouldn't be. And they're here for the wrong reasons. Yeah. 90% of the people doing tattoos today shouldn't be. And it's not that they're horrible artists. They're just, in my opinion, which is obviously narrow, but it's if people are in it for the money, or they're in it for the fame, or they're in it for anything, publicity, girls, guys, whatever they're trying to gain, if they're not just doing the art because they're passionate about the art,
they're not gonna make it.
Yeah, well, they'll get by fine. They'll pay their bills, but like, I don't know, you're just sort of skating by on the rest of our coattails. Like, a lot of us have dedicated our entire lives to this, and blood, sweat, and tears, and our elders before us who have broken ground and put up with things that we can't even conceive, to lay the groundwork for us to have the ability to do what we do today. I mean, if you can't respect that and honor that, then go away, man. I have no problem saying that. Which is sad because I'm a supplier. I'm dependent upon these people
Right.
for my income. But like I said, I don't want to sell to everybody anyways. That's not my goal. I want to cater to people that care. That's kind of my, I also say I'm an artist, I'm a tattoo artist first, and a supplier second. That's my
Right.
thing. So we're getting way off topic here. We're supposed to be talking about conventions, Alex, and
Yeah,
and
no, I know, but
you got me on this rant. You got me
I
like,
mean, no, but it's interesting to me. I know I'm listening to everything you say. There's a lot of, I mean, most of it makes a lot of sense to me. So,
right.
you know,
Well,
and so it's yeah. I mean, I could just listen to you forever, but I mean, it's I like your perspective on many things. I mean, you are like just very straightforward
I try and
on.
be. I don't have a lot of time to do anything else. I mean,
Oh yeah, sure. No, you can. I mean, you can bullshit around stuff. I mean, that's the way it is, and that's it. And I mean, and at some degree also with the artists. Okay, so that's one thing I have. Like it's when I see
well,
a
honestly,
better
when Gabe was talking about us going live and us
right,
never meeting and we never spoken before, and
right.
I'm thinking, okay, we can go live. I'm like, but this may not end well. What if I don't like Alex? I'm like, what if,
Yeah, same here.
well, because anybody that knows me knows I don't generally hold my opinion. And I mean,
I'm perfectly fine for that. No,
so
but I saw you. I saw a lot of your interviews. And so I already had a certain idea on how you think and work. But it's refreshing for me to see it now directly from you in person, which I'm very
it,
happy to.
it's
You know,
definitely a pleasure to finally meet you for sure. So,
same here.
but I mean, I'd like to know a little bit. I mean, I know a little bit about you. About like, what year did you start tattooing?
I am not a tattoo artist.
Or you're not a tattoo artist?
I'm not a tattoo artist. No,
I thought you
I
were tattooing. See,
no,
I
I'm
didn't do
not.
my homework. God damn it!
No, I'm for the public ear. I'm not a tattoo artist. I mean, I can technically tattoo, but people wouldn't pay me for that, and
It's
I
not
hate to
about the
sacrifice.
money.
No, well, I'll make money in other ways. I mean, like when I started to learn about tattooing, or to get interested about tattoos, I didn't have like an artistic background. Although I liked it, I did like a technical school, and then I went to IT. So creative stuff wasn't really my background. I liked it, and I thought it was nice, the culture of tattooing, but I never thought I could become a tattoo artist. Later in my life, then I started to fantasize about the fact of I met some tattoo artists, and I know they were traveling the world with a suitcase and stuff like that. And I thought that's really cool. I mean, that's all I need is a machine and some equipment. I always had like a big thing for traveling. Traveling for me has been one of the biggest things in my life. I had a pretty nice life in my eyes because of the travels I did. And I thought, like tattooing could be like like a full-time solution to really, enjoy a good life while traveling and while being in tattooing. It doesn't get any better than that. So I bought machines and stuff like that. But I realized I don't have the patience to do it. Like I'm a fairly impatient person, and sitting hours, like refining a drawing and stuff like that. I see it also. Yeah, I mean, I have a studio, I have a tattoo artist here, and I see how much work they put into it. It blows my mind. And I'm aware that I'm not able to do that.
Well, that's okay. You
So
know your limitations, and that's fine. I'm not a
yeah,
terribly patient person either, but when it came to tattooing to me was like weed, just slowed me down. Like when I started tattooing, like I've been patient with everything. Okay. Fast food lines, the restaurants, whatever. I was getting angry waiting for my coffee in a drive-through this morning, because it was just not moving. And
right.
I won't say angry, but frustrated because I needed to be here. But
I
yeah,
appreciate.
most things I'm relatively impatient with. But when I was tattooing, I would just like the world would close off when I'm tattooing somebody, and everything would slow down. And it was just a matter of getting the right parts in the right places,
I know.
and it was weird. It was like shifting from high gear to low gear. And that was one of the few areas of my life where I could do that. And to me, it was calming and relaxing and enjoyable. So I guess that's one of the things that made me love tattooing too. So
That's what I see, like in everyone else that is tattooing. that isn't me. I mean, I'm like, they space out and they're like in their world, and they're not distracted by anything, which is a beautiful condition. I mean, I would have to get high to get in that kind of condition. You know what I mean?
I can't do that, or I just want to sit on the couch. So
Right. So, but like I told, I would, and by the way, look, like I love what I'm doing, conventions, comedy conventions, um, it's something which, like I carved my niche out in this huge industry, I found
oh, you're
something.
doing it well. I mean, you're well known around the world, and then I mean,
But yeah, you can always do better. It's something I enjoy doing. I'm not, Gabe knows, I'm not motivated by money and stuff like that. It's something that I truly enjoy doing, and I hope I can keep doing it like for fucking forever. Yeah, because I mean that allows me to keep going to conventions and meet nice people and be in the environment I like to. Conventions were for me my escape from reality. I used to work again like an IT company, it's 9 to 5.
right.
So when I was going to convention, like, I'm finally free. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm in an environment where people can be themselves.
Well, I mean, I can respect that, and I can respect you for finding your place in the business. I'm accepting of that, and congratulations on your success for sure. Like I have friends that aren't tattooists that make tattoo machines, and that
Right.
things
Yeah.
like that have generally been frowned upon in the business. Like there's a good part of our industry that does not like outsiders. So there's people out there, that don't want to see you making money off of our industry because you're not a tattooer. Well,
Yes,
no,
I know.
you have a
I
whole
perfectly
different,
know.
you have a whole different skill set, which we have a need for. So, and it's obvious that you love and you're passionate about tattoos. So, and you're sincere and you're not, I mean, so I can welcome you with open arms, just like I do other friends that make money off the industry,
Thank you.
that are talented, but not artists, I mean, but I can see that some people can't. And I want you to know, like, I don't have any reservations about it. So,
No, but I appreciate you say that. Like I'll be honest with you. Like the first few years that like for example, like I made Water to events and I was going to conventions. Obviously I didn't come from that industry, so a lot of people had no idea who I was. So I would ask like for an accreditation to go convention, I would get it. But I wouldn't. At least the first couple of years, I was very reluctant to go to an organizer. I'm Alex, and I'm the owner of Water to events. So no, just a photographer or something like that. Like I was really fucking how do you say, like shy about that, you know what I mean? And also I didn't really ask anything to anyone for years to help me out or something, because I know that you had to be accepted first, and I thought, I just build, my idea, my project, and whatever. If that works, people will recognize it, which happened, without asking anything to anyone, because I know it works in the tattoo industry. I thought it would take me at least 10 years to get somehow accepted. That happened a lot earlier, to be honest. And so I was, that was a big surprise somehow to me. I thought I would have to work for a lot longer, like up to my 60s, before somebody would, notice that it's maybe doing something right in this industry, And I really mean that. I mean, I'm not kidding.
right. No, it's as been around the business a while. I mean, I've seen a lot of people come in and just burn bridges. I get approached by new products weekly.
Really.
Just bombarded. Hey, sell this, sell this, sell this, and it's like, why? Who the hell are you? You don't.
Yeah.
You make face cream, and now you want to be in the goddamn tattoo world because you see dollar signs. Go away. I don't want your product. I don't care if it's good. I don't even want you here. I don't want to put any money in your pocket. I mean, if it sounds stupid maybe to some people, but like, that's not, I don't sell things just to make money. I sell things I believe in. So, but it's I forgot where I was going a little bit there, but
No, yeah, we're still talking about
refreshing.
convention.
Yeah, no, it's refreshing that to see people come into the business that are committed, they're passionate, that like I said, you're not looking for the quick hook. You're not looking to get rich. You know,
Yeah.
you're finding a way to make a living in an industry you're passionate about. And
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with that at all. You know,
No,
now
no.
if you were in here trying to get everybody to sign up to emails to collect personal data to sell off to advertisers and do stuff like
No,
that,
no.
which I've seen other companies come and do here in the last few years or whatever, seeing how data has become such a big thing in the world. You know, they come in and they set up promotions and they set up prizes. Hey, come give us all your personal data, and you get a 1 in 342 million chance of winning $1. And I'm like,
Give me a break.
yeah.
No, for
But
the
everybody
record,
else gets
nothing in
enticed by the
promotion here,
carrot.
nothing for sale. Gabe knows. I mean, we did all these other videos, you know, and look, I mean, you know, doing those videos is something which has been possible thanks to the pandemic. This is something which I had in my mind for a long time. Now I have the possibility to really sit down with some initial event organizers, talk about their experience in doing those conventions, talk about themselves, you know. And Gabe, correct me if I'm wrong, but until now, I don't think I ever say that, guys, you know, like subscribe, water to events, or go check. I fucking forget, because that's not why. That's not why I'm doing these videos. This is actually like most of it out of a personal interest, you know, and maybe that could be interesting for other people as well. That's my main motivation, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well, in my videos, I forget that. And to be honest with you, Gabe or Fernando or somebody needs to prompt me to remind people to do that, because like, yeah, I'm not here to sell like when I do my videos. That's not like, you know, if it gets me more business, if I'm educating people, and if people appreciate that and they want to return the favor, and or they like my philosophy and they want to experience Needlejig as it is, awesome. That's super cool. But I'm like, I'm just putting the information out there. Do with it what you will. You know, it's
Exactly.
like, you know, and I got a lot of times it's just my opinion. And I am not perfect by any, you know, stretch of the imagination. It's just it's my views that I've formed over my 30 years in the business. Now given, I've only experienced so much. I can't experience everything. So
no,
it's
man,
just an
that's the
opinion.
same for everyone. I mean, we all
Yeah,
have the same problem.
it's just an opinion, you know. If it's a fact, I'll let you know it's a fact, you know, like gravity or, you know, the sun rising and things like that. Those things can't be argued, but like a lot of it is opinion. So
Yeah.
and Gabe has a ton of editing to do on this because we have so much crap we're gonna have to cut out of this thing.
Yeah, well, sorry about that, Gabe.
No.
Yeah, we got derailed. Maybe we should have a talk like 3 hours before and then go live. But then on the other hand, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like when you have the little speeches before going live, and then a lot of times you have the most genuine exchanges, and then you go live and it becomes too mechanical, stuff like that, or it's not spontaneous.
Right. And I don't do that. I don't, you can ask Gabe.
Well,
Gabe
oh,
probably
I
hates
know,
me
I
for it
know.
because I don't do scripts. I don't want to have it all laid out. I'm not shooting a movie. I'm not shooting an advertisement. I'm generally sitting down and talking with an old friend. Today it's a
Right.
new friend, but like I want the flaws to come through. I want, you know, if you say
True, true.
something and I look out of the corner of my eye and hesitate, like this guy's on crack, that kind of should be caught on film, you know? I mean, because that's two people reacting to each other. And
Right.
that's what tells the story, you know? So it's like, to me, that's authentic. And I like that. Unfortunately, it comes with a lot of this, you know, incessant rambling that doesn't go anywhere sometimes, but that's just part of the
Yeah, that's part
package.
of the game.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
part
part
of the
of it.
game.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's what I'm shooting. I like to watch other people's videos that are more cut and polished, you know, where they're scripted and it's a question and there's an answer and there's a question and there's an answer,
Exactly.
you know, and then there's a deep thought process and then there's a commercial break and then there's, you know, those are okay, but that's not what it's not what I enjoy watching, and it's not what I want to put out there for others. So I'd rather
No,
just shoot the shit. And I don't even care if anybody watches. How sad is that? You know?
Me too. I mean, I'm happy if you know, like if somebody wants it, it's out there, you know, and if you can get anything good out of it, cool. But otherwise, that's been a fucking great experience for me, you know.
Right. I know there's people that want to watch it, but I don't
Yeah.
care if I get 100 views or I get 100,000 views. It doesn't, again, it doesn't drive me to do it. I'm not doing it for everybody else's approval. I'm doing it because more often than not, I'm documenting little chunks of history, tattoo
Right.
history, with people that may not be with us much longer, or people that might be cutting edge in a certain area, or people that are underappreciated in a different area, or like I said, just documenting a little bit of history with an old friend. Who knows? I might get to the point where I can't remember anything anymore. I might want to sit down and rewatch my old videos in old age to maybe remind myself where I've been, because we don't know where we're going. I mean,
That's another good point, or you will have something to show to your family or kids or whatever, grandkids. I don't know,
right.
I-
I spend so much time away from my family. This might be their best chance of getting to know me.
who you really are.
Yeah.
By the way, this is the other thing. So I know, you've been, you are in US and everything else, but have you ever gone to a lot of conventions in outside of US or Europe, Asia, I don't know, South America, and what would be your favorite region in a word for?
I've only done shows in the US at this point. Actually, pre-pandemic, I was planning on coming over, and Shanghai Kate wanted me to come over and do London with her. And so a couple other shows I was going to come over and do, and then the world got turned upside down. So,
Right.
And Gabe made arrangements for me to come over to Belgium here, but I think it's supposed to be next month, but I don't know. I don't think that's happening anymore.
It's gonna happen in 10 days.
Oh, it is going to happen in 10 days, because I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that was sort of up in the air for a while. So I'm like, oh crap,
Well,
do I plan on
yeah, I
booking
mean,
this? Do I not book this? Can I even travel? I don't know if I can travel. I'm like, it's overwhelming.
It's
So
complicated. It's complicated. I mean, I will have to travel from Asia, and then I was just telling you, I will go back to Europe, and I only have one shot, so I have to do a quarantine, blah blah. So I thought, even if I travel tomorrow, I probably won't make it in time for the convention. That bugs me because almost everyone I know is going, and at least in Europe, right? From US or other part is gonna be harder, but yeah.
I'd love to
It's
be there, but my big fear is I leave the United States and something weird happens in the week I'm gone, and I can't get back. Like they're all of a sudden, I've been to a part of the world where they're gonna say you can't come back in. I'd be like, what the hell? Like
that
I
would be a
have
big
I
problem.
have businesses, I have family, so I'm a little nervous about that. But yeah,
Have you
that's
been able to visit any conventions since the beginning of the pandemic?
no, I haven't done. The only thing I did was Gabe's thing a couple weeks ago, which was
Yeah, yeah,
minimal attendance. It was a lot of virtual.
yes.
So I did go there. We were cautious about our interactions and all that, and we did a lot of video stuff like that. Broadcasting out.
Yeah,
Did
I've been
interviews.
in as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun, but it was not like a convention atmosphere. I haven't done one yet. I've pissed off a few promoters by not doing shows I normally do, but and it's not that I don't want to go, and it's not that I'm afraid to go. I'm fully vaccinated and I'm comfortable with it. I have too much going on at home.
Right.
Uh, Once I wasn't traveling 20 weeks a year myself, I was staying home and I'm being more productive. I'm working on new projects. I'm working on new products. Like I said, I picked up aviation again. I have all these things that I'm doing at home that I don't necessarily have the time to travel right now. And when I go back to doing shows, I'm going to be very selective of the shows I do, because I'm starting to realize how valuable my time is here at home with my family, with my workforce.
So do you think
Yeah,
you will go back to do 20, 25 shows a year?
no, never again.
No.
6 to 12 tops. And
Six.
if we get all the way up to 12, I won't be at all 12. I'll maybe be at 6 or 8. I
Which one would be the first one on top of your list where you would
Philadelphia for sure. And that's
Nice.
just because it's the largest gathering. So that's my best opportunity to meet with everybody in a short period of time. Yeah, Philadelphia and Chicago, as far as the largest potential
world.
client bases, and Minneapolis, probably for my favorite show, which I sound like I'm favoring Troy Temple now because those are all 3 his shows.
Oh my
Locally, there's a small show called the Massachusetts Tattoo Festival put on by Joe Peterson and his wife Irene. That's a couple hours from me. It's a small show, but it's kind of tattoo family oriented. We go, we have a good time, we get drunk and just enjoy each other's experiences, make a little money. But I mean, that's probably one of my favorite shows, hometown type of show type of thing. Tommy Ringwalt, his show down in Hartford, he does another one at the casino. Those are local again, like an hour and a half away from me. So those are quick and easy, and I consider those people family. And maybe a couple more, but yeah, that's like, I'm going to be picky. I'm going to pick and choose and spend my time wisely. I'm getting older. I don't want to travel 20 weeks a year. It's just
It's
tough.
It's just a tough, yeah, it's a tough life. I mean, it's a beautiful life on one hand, but on the other hand, it's like I realize this as well. I mean, this is the longest I've ever been anywhere for so long, for 2 years without getting, out of the country.
When we were doing conventions, we started with a few a year, and then we'd add a show, then we'd add another show, then we'd add a couple shows. And I slowly worked myself into that situation. And don't get me wrong, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, but I didn't realize what it was costing me mentally, physically, not financially, but like, it probably cost me some financially, because being at the show is marketing, promotion, whatever there, and business there, but I'm also not doing my job here at home as effectively. So there's a trade-off, and sometimes that trade-off is very negative. So yeah, it was costing me a lot, probably more mentally and physically though, like the wear and tear on my body and my mind. It was a heavy price to pay. And I gonna continue to do it. I'm just going to be selective about it. I didn't realize how hard I was working myself. And I'm the kind of guy where,
but yeah, you were probably in that kind of flow,
I won't stop working. I won't stop working until the job is done. I will find myself after hours here on a regular basis. I go home, I eat dinner, spend a little time with the wife. She goes to bed, and then I'm back to work on the computer because I do a lot of business in Asia. So 12-hour time difference. I'm regularly up and communicating with Asia at, 12, 1, 2 in the morning. And then I go to bed and I get up and I do it all over again. And then you start throwing in these shows, and it's relentless. And I can do it, but I'm going to choose not to do it as much.
Right.
My sanity and mental health is worth a lot more than that. And I don't know if it took the pandemic to wake that up in me, because we've all lost a lot during this. And it's sad. But if if you're one of those that's still here, you're probably reevaluating your time and your energy a little bit. Like
I think probably everyone has been reflecting on that aspect. I mean, like how to use the time in the best possible ways after 2 years of being I wouldn't say inactive, but yeah, fairly limited in what you could possibly do. Yeah, I mean, same here. I mean, it's again, like I was going from one convention to another one, and now I stopped for 2 years, and now I gotta start again. And yeah, what you just said is it resonates to me again. Like I'll have to go to less shows and like, yeah, probably be a lot more selective. The problem is, like, once you get to start into the flow, Then get to get some, get to know some people. Like, come to my show too. Okay, you go to the show, you meet some other people. Come to my show again. And then you just keep going like this. But
yeah, but I mean, that's in an effort to please other people. And
it's both. I mean, if I can go to a new place, I would go.
okay, that to me would be enticing. If I get to come, I'd like to come to Vietnam one of these days for sure. And that was before knowing you. But I mean, like, I've known Tim Hawkinsworth out of Bali for years and years. The 90s, being in the body jewelry business. He has a very successful business out there. And he's been inviting me to come out there and spend time on his place in Bali. Open invitation, even if he's not there at the time. I could stay at his place, do whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how did I not take him up on that in the last 20 years, 25 years? You know, I mean, that's insane that I didn't do that. So, but I want to do that. I want to go to new places and see new things. But as far as going to work at shows, it's going to be minimal. It's going to be a few shows that I think the company needs to be at for exposure. And then there's going to be a few shows that I want to be at due to the personal nature and the camaraderie aspect. But anything else, you know, I can come to Vietnam without thinking about Needlejig at all. I can just come to visit, or maybe experience the culture, or maybe see that side of the industry and what's going on there. But I don't need to make it a business trip. Same thing for any other part of the world. So
I'm sure it would be interesting for you here, like in both sides. I mean, you know, like on one way to see the country, on the other way to see the tattoo industry here, because I mean, it's a very, very interesting situation here. I mean, you know, like the tattoo industry is only like 15 years old, you didn't really have like professional tattoo artists 15 years ago or over 15 years ago, you know, so it's something which went like this, absolutely exploded like within a decade. And it's such a big, vibrant, growing tattoo community here, which is, I love it. It's, I don't know, you could compare it, you know, probably with Europe in the early 80s or US in the 50s or 60s. Wow. You know, like
that's cool. Yeah. I'd like to experience that then, you know, because I wasn't around back then.
Yeah, well, maybe in the 70s. Let me rephrase it. Maybe in the 70s in I mean, US has a very long tattoo culture compared to other parts of the world, like on a professional level. I mean, and so I don't know. This is what you breathe here. It's like this kind of enthusiasm which we had in you know, like our regions of the world back then. Now it's a consolidated industry, business, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's still tattooing, but for a lot of people, it's business, right? And yeah, here it's shifting from, you know, like something which was a subculture to a proper profession, a respectable profession. You know, this is happening here now, while, you know, US and Europe happened already like decades ago.
Yeah, late 80s, mid to late 80s. That was the start of that transition, and then that's you know, it's still coming about now, really.
Yeah, well, depending on the region, right? I mean, some places catch up, you know, like sooner than later than others, whatever. But I mean, it's you can really definitely see how this is happening now, you know, and to me that's extremely fascinating. I mean, especially
I'll notice when I go from even within different regions of the US where I can almost look, and not just tattoo related, but like I'll go into a town and I'd be like, wow, this reminds the area, the culture, the thought process reminds me of another area I was in 15 years prior. Like they're 15 years behind the times. They're just starting to,
back in time.
You can almost just, it's almost like time travel, going to different places sometimes, which is nerdy. I like it.
Oh, yeah, it's also interesting. But I mean, that was the same for me here. It's a little bit of time travel, but on the other hand, it's like it's interesting to see how fast they've been able to catch up with, you know, with the rest of the world. I mean, you have some Vietnamese artists now which compete on an international level at conventions and win a lot of prizes, and they became quite famous, which was fairly unthinkable even just 10 years ago.
There's also like a manufacturing revolution going on over there right now too, because like a lot of
Yeah.
manufacturers are pushing products or manufacturing into Vietnam now due to
Yeah.
the trade wars going on with China,
Exactly.
you know, and I'm like, man, I'm like, I make a lot of products in China and I can't
Well, I'll
just
tell you something.
I
I'm
can't
very
just
happy to be
transfer
here.
over to Vietnam, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
but I make other products and I have other ideas. So I'd like to come and experience some of that too, is to like, not for the tattoo products, but I have other things. I'm not just a one trick pony here. So I have
No,
other ideas that I want to produce or whatever. So why would I take new products and start producing them in an area that's already causing me conflict and stupid amounts of money and tariffs and whatnot? You know, I'll, I've got to be flexible. I got to be willing to divert from the path I'm on to continue on and be successful with the world's changes. So I'd like to come to, Vietnam and other parts of
you are
Asia.
more than welcome. Like I can, like oh my God, it's like we're having like a rainfall here now. I don't know if you can hear it. It's like a sudden shower. Yeah, no, I mean, I am very, very sure that, I am trying to invite everyone I know, like, like just come over in this country, see what's going on here, see it with your own eyes, you know, and I'm sure that it's, what you said is very true. I mean, there's a lot of production shifting from China to Vietnam. And this is why, I'm personally very happy to be here because it's a growing country, it's a growing economy. And
Well,
when
the
you're like in a growing
opportunities have to be
economy,
incredible. I mean, it
yeah,
has to be
very
just
few.
relentless opportunities.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I struggle now to hear you because I have like a giant roof which is being flooded now. It's very hard to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's it. No, no,
I
it's
can't hear the rain. No, I heard the one gust come by, but I'm not listening. I can't hear the rain right now. So
oh, you don't hear it?
no.
Well, yeah, the problem is like I cannot hear you. No. Okay, now it's almost passing. Yeah, it's like a sudden shower, like 2 minutes, which comes down like as a waterfall. And
We used to get when I lived in Arizona, we would get monsoons that would come through for brief periods, more than 2 minutes, but you just be a sunny day, then you see major dust storm, major rain, and then clear again.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here it's 2 minutes, but it can. I mean, now it's rain season, so that can go on for months. I mean, and it can become pretty intense. But yeah, I mean, it's just a roof, which is there's a concrete roof, but on the top of it there is a giant metal plate,
Right.
and that's very noisy when it rains. So yeah, it's the beauty of being in Vietnam, man. So
Come
yeah,
to Vietnam. It might rain for months.
yeah. So maybe you guys
So,
should come together here, Gabe.
Oh, I'm down. Soon
That'll be
as
awesome. I'm sure you guys would enjoy it here. You'll love it. And by the way, like
As soon as
I
we can
live by the
travel
beach.
freely again, I'd love to.
Well, look, I'm also planning a convention to do a convention here in 2023 in my
Nice.
city, Da Nang. It's a city with 1.2 million people on the beach. We have a 25-kilometer beach stretch, sorry, which is one of the longest in all Asia and one of the best tourist destinations in Asia. Around my place, I have like probably like anywhere between 600 to 800 hotels and resorts. There's a very, very busy, nice place. So I think
Nice.
our convention will be very, very good. And that will be the first time that there would be a real good international tattoo convention. So
Nice.
if you get to come, I mean, it'll be,
what are those dates? And then maybe I know that you guys could talk forever. But maybe you want to close it out with another convention question?
I'm planning for 5 to 7 May 2023.
May, fantastic.
Yeah, May 2023. Like
Is that
ideally,
going
I would
over,
like to do it, next year, but I'm not sure like the borders will be open the way I expect.
2023 is way good call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
next year we could do it, but it would be too risky because I mean,
Yeah.
this shitty pandemic is still going, and here they may,
Yep.
like we get another wave here, they'll probably just shut down everything again,
Mhm.
and so I don't think that's a good idea. So yeah, better wait another year, but then do it properly.
I think
Yeah.
Gabe wants us to talk about conventions so he can have more.
Yeah. Well, look, we can rephrase the name of this live stream, and
Well,
we
it can be
talk
broken into a couple pieces too. I mean,
exactly. We can talk about business. We can talk about tattoo supply. We can talk about tattoo supply coming up. Actually, look, we can do a 10-hour stream for me. See what we can get out of it. You know what I mean? But there's so many topics that
I'm gonna need more coffee.
yeah. No, but there's so many nice topics to touch. You know what I mean? Like I had a few other questions for you. Like for example, like I wanted to ask you also, did you ever thought about organizing a convention yourself, having been to so many events and doing so much?
Absolutely. I've always, well, I'll say I've always wanted to have a show of my own. And this thought process started years and years and years ago when there weren't that many shows, and I never moved forward. I talked to one promoter possibly about buying into his show. That didn't really pan out so much. And another guy that I'm probably hopefully going to be working with closely here. But I've always wanted my own show, but I've also always been smart enough to know that I know nothing about throwing a convention of any sort. I know a good amount about the tattoo industry, but the behind the scenes, the gathering of the venue and the negotiations with the venue and the hotels, and I'm a guy that hates marketing. So I don't stand a
That's
chance.
80% of the game.
Right. So I mean, so that means I either need to bring in, either hire somebody that really knows that well, or partner with somebody that really knows that well. And so I knew I was at a disadvantage. So the only way for me to practically get into having a show would be to partner with somebody who has more experience, which is a hard word for me to use, because up until recently, I've never had a business partner anywhere in life. I just never, ever have. Not in the tattoo industry, not in real estate, not in anything. I didn't believe in partners because I've been screwed over so many times, and I've observed so many partnerships fail miserably throughout time. But now, as I'm getting older and I'm having long-term relationships with people or whatever, now I'm willing to consider those things, as long as the lawyers have done their part. As long as the contracts everything's got to be, I's dotted, T's crossed, and so it's a legit deal, and it's a true partnership, and there's no advantages one way or the other. Then I'm down nowadays. But was never my philosophy before. But I couldn't do it by myself, and I know that. I mean, or if I did want to do it by myself, it would be a 2 to 3 year process of me doing nothing but that. I have to kind of ignore Needlejig and go learn everything that corresponds to throwing a show, and then throw a show. So, because I can't do it half-assed.
No. You would take it very seriously. So
yeah, I've got to put my best effort in. So,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted a show, but I've also always known that I wasn't prepared to do it at that point in time. Or maybe I developed some partnerships for a few years and maybe eventually have a small show of my own. But I think if I ever had my own personal show, it would be very small. It would be very elite. It would be more of a gathering type of thing for the artists that I've known and respected throughout my career. Hopefully a gathering of friends, and in an attempt to maybe at least cover the costs of the show. That would be what I'd want to do.
You're still young enough to do it, right? Eventually.
I hope I have many more years for sure.
So that could still be in a picture then.
Well, yeah, but they also could just be getting drunk with 8 friends at a hotel somewhere sometime and sitting around tattooing each other. Who knows? But I like that aspect of it more. Getting back to conventions, the older conventions had a different vibe and a different feel.
Yes. Now that's an interesting topic, right?
The Houston show was not like the conventions you did today. There was some sideshow stuff. Captain Don was there, and some others, and Enigma, obviously, and I can't remember a lot, but there was some
Was it
small
live
side
tattooing
shows.
there?
I wasn't. I just got tattooed there. Little Vinny
Okay, you just-
tattooed me, and I was
Right.
there to experience the show. And but the contests were different. Nobody was really up there trying to really win awards. It was people were getting on stage to show off the work and their pride in the artists that did it. Nobody was trying to win tattoo machines and ink sets and popularity contests in promotional. That wasn't. It was there to show off the art, and that was cool. And it was the contests were close, and people gathered around the stage, and it was just awesome. The promoters quite often had little goodie bags, like, you know, you checked in to get your booths. I remember Ink Slinger's Ball. You know, it's all about the pirate theme and all that fun stuff. And Gil used to put together these little gift bags, and so you would, like, you know, get a couple of fake gold coins with maybe the Ink Slingers logo on it, and an eye patch, and some random trinkets that were just little mementos to you know, keepsakes for over time. But yeah, it was a different vibe all the way around.
You think we lost that? It's not the case anymore, like in most conventions?
What I remember, tattoo conventions used to be almost entirely tattooers.
Right.
There may be a supplier off in the corner or in the back or something like that. But it was tattooers.
no-
There was almost no other marketing or branding or merchandise sales or whatever, you know. The t-shirts that were being sold were sold by the artists. You know, there wasn't clothing companies there. There wasn't dildo companies there. There wasn't, you know, back massager companies there. There wasn't phone companies there. There wasn't, you know, CBD, you know, all these other. Now you go to a show and it might be 2/3 tattooers and 1/3 merchandisers,
Everything else.
which is kind of cool because it brings in more people and intermingling. But it's just a different feel all the way
It's a
around.
different thing.
Like, I've always put an effort forward into never doing. I do tattoo conventions. I work tattoo conventions as a tattooer, as a supplier, whatever. I do not generally work. I can't think I've ever done a tattoo convention / car show, tattoo convention / gun show, tattoo
Right.
convention / porn show. You know, I don't do that. I care about tattooing. Whether I have other interests is besides the point. But when it comes down to that, I want to keep tattooing as pure as I
As
can,
possible.
which, you know, that ship sailed a long time ago. But in my mind, tattooing to me is still sacred. So I appreciate the old days, but I'm forced to change paths and navigate the world that I'm presented with.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So I would.
This is a situation where a lot of organizers that try to explore new avenues and combine, you know, any other type of lifestyle that may be related. So yeah, some shows
Right.
are. I understand what you're saying. I mean,
But that comes down to promotion and marketing, which are, again, things that I don't love. You know, I mean, I understand a promoter's number one goal is to get as many human beings through the turnstiles as possible, because that's how they make their money. And that's how the people who are attending the shows make their money. So I get it. It's a
That's
business
also what-
model and it works. I just don't appreciate it as much as I do the down and dirty actual tattooing. So.
Right. Okay, so yeah, so that's maybe that's maybe a good project for you to work on. You know, like do like old school tattoo convention the way it should be done, tattooers only, like
Oh, that would be a dismal failure because people have been conditioned to expect what they're getting
Right.
today, what they're receiving today. So, trust me, I've tried many times in my career to swim upstream, putting my own thought processes ahead of others, and those are generally some of the lessons learned. Let's just call it.
Right. Okay.
So I've got to learn that I don't get to make the rules, and I have to abide by the rules that are set forth, and I have to work within other people's
Expectations.
yeah, it's just the way it is. What I like it the old way. Yeah. Are we ever going to see that again? I don't think so. Even if somebody like myself, or maybe if I got together with a couple of other older fellas, but these would have to be all people with massive audiences to make it successful. And in doing so, you're still kind of,
It's still marketing.
yeah, it's marketing and pushing more people through the door intentionally. And that just like, it wasn't like that. I mean, the first guys that, okay, Gilmani with Inkslinger's Ball, that show was like amazingly successful because it took place on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, California, at the Palladium, tourist central, and Gil had good working relationships with a number of celebrities back then, so that was easy for him to market. And that show was always a party. That show was, from the time you got there to the time you left, the parties at Tattoo Mania down the block. It was just rip roaring good time from beginning to end. That was a lot of fun. But the first guys that I think started to put together conventions and actually sort of build a small empire, actually was Dennis Dwyer and JD Crow. They had the tattoo tour back in the day.
Yeah.
So I attended a number of those, and I want to say those were the first that I can remember, the first conventions that probably brought about what you see today, because there were seminars from, highly rated tattooers around the world.
What is it, like late 2000s or something?
Yeah. Oh, no, actually, late 90s to, I think, the late 90s. I don't even think it went into the 2000s, but I mean, like, so, I mean, when I went to those shows, and I did tattoo machine, coil machine seminars with Scotty Sterling. That's why I went to Guy Aitchison seminars, and I first met him. But I mean, like, that was the first that I can remember, the first shows that I think brought to light what we see today, because there was, a little more merchandising vendors there. There was the seminars. Yeah, I think those guys are probably the at least here in the US, the forefathers of the modern convention here. Now, I'm not sure if that stemmed from things they experienced in Europe or other parts of the world too, because I'd never been there to those shows. But yeah, that was kind of a transition to smoke-filled gathering hall, not even in a hotel convention like center or a resort center, into small scale hotel conference room type stuff. And I think JD Crow and Dennis Dwyer were the first ones to bring it into larger venues and multiple locations around the country, and that was really great little thing they had going for a while there. And I'm not sure why that stopped, but
you see, this is something which, for example, I don't personally have a lot of records about of this, this tattoo. I mean, later on there have been other tattoo tours under different names or by different people. I wasn't exactly familiar with what you're just saying now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
from the late 90s, so that's gold to me.
I'll try to make that connection for you too there. You're gonna have to remind me of these connections, I'm promising you, because I'm gonna forget myself. I'm gonna get off this computer and then I'm gonna go do about, my normal day's work, and I won't
Yeah.
remember right away. So remind me that I think I told you I'm gonna try and get you in touch with Dennis and JD, and then
That'd be awesome.
and the
Because
guys
one of
from
the things
Amgen.
I'm trying to do, it's a kind of backward work. I'm trying to put into this database like the older tattoo conventions, which have almost no data for, because there is nothing on internet, there's nothing on social media because they were not there yet. So some, like old tattoo artists or collectors or whatever, they would have, like maybe the posters or some information about that. But other than that, or in the old magazines, other than that, it's really hard to find anything.
Well, I mean, it's cool. You're archiving a fairly important part of our industry that nobody else has really paid attention to. Like, we have a lot of archivists, people that have museums and people that have in-depth knowledge about the tools or the flash or the first tattooers and things like that. But like, I think you're the only guy out there who's trying to document
for conventions. I'm the only
of
person doing
conventions.
it.
Yeah. So I mean,
Well, so far we listed over 1,400 different events.
that's amazing.
Yeah. So, like in different countries. But again, like I'm trying now to work backwards to put into the database the events from the early, maybe with a description and who started it and what happened, and like who were the main characters playing at those conventions. That's the interesting part of me. And then you will see a little bit of the evolution of the tattoo industry over time, and the tattoo convention industry. There's a lot of people which, like, imagine you're a tattoo artist now, you're 20 years old, and you don't really have an idea of what happened before that, because again, like, there's nothing you can find on internet. There is nothing that you made in the early 20s or 30s, whatever, that can tell you, because they were not there either. You know what I mean? So there would be a big chunk of our history which got lost, and I think that's a shame. So I'm trying to do my little part of the work to kind of preserve what happened before.
Yeah, and I'm hoping my memory can stay sharp. I mean, I can only give you a little tiny glimpse of my experiences, but I by no means any sort of an authority on the subject, but I can give you a glimpse into my memories, the shows I've attended and stuff like that. But I get what you're saying. Is like, I was lucky enough to meet a lot of old timers and get to know them, develop lifelong friendships. And I love the history aspect of it, of just tattooing in general. And luckily I still remember a lot of that, and I can try and document that. And I don't care to be a historian. I could never do what a lot of other people do, but like, I want to document what I know while I still can, because
it's a very honorable mission. I mean,
we're losing more people. We're losing history, on a regular basis as each of these old timers passes, and every time I lose one of these old friends, I'm like, wow, I can't say it's unexpected, because some of them are, fairly old, but it's always unexpected. And I always think I have a few more conversations and a few more weekends and a few more visits and all that. And it's like, wow, I wish
and that doesn't happen.
I wish I got to ask them about this or do this, it's like, even though I have decades of experience with them, it's never enough. It's just like with your friends, your family, or anything else. So in recent times, that's been one of my main missions and goals, is to get a little history recorded. And then at some point, somebody else may stumble across it and compile it, utilize that to compile a bigger picture later on down the road. It's because it's going away, and it's going away fast.
It's going away fast. I agree.
The people that lived the era of tattooing through the 40s to the 70s, they're leaving us rapidly, and that is a part of time when tattooers were not as friendly, tattooers were not as open and sharing. So, and There wasn't the
A
internet.
lot
There,
of,
everybody didn't have a supercomputer in their pocket. Nothing was recorded. Nothing was documented. So to try and piece as much of that together while we still can is important, I think, I mean,
I
because
agree.
once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
People are gonna have you and me rambling on video for eons. It's gonna be we're we're non-events. It's because there will be no mystery. There's no mystery to what we do because we're just recording it. But the mystery comes in the stories that were lost or the myths, the rumors, the stuff like that. So that's where that is. So we're not going to get anything out of this. We're going to be long dead and gone before anybody really appreciates anything we've done. But honestly,
Probably
that's
will even have a hard time understanding what we're exactly talking about. I mean,
right.
like in terms of conventions which happen, like, my interest in conventions which happened 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah,
you know.
we're not documenting this for any sort of notoriety or fame or money. We think it's important and we want others to have knowledge of it down the road. Will a lot of people want that knowledge? Probably not, but I mean, there will be people that have the curiosity like you and I do. There will be a certain segment of the tattoo industry down the road that's going to wish they had access to this. And with a little bit of searching, they hopefully can find it. And that's it. We're going to continually make a few people happy long past the time we're gone. And that's kind of cool.
It's a beautiful thing. Like it's,
yeah, it's like,
I
I like to mentor. I like to teach. I like to inform. I like doing all that, and I do most of it just out of I won't say the goodness of my heart, but because I enjoy it. And it's not really the goodness of my heart because I get pleasure out of it. So there's some sort of a selfish factor to that too. I enjoy it. I enjoy sharing. I enjoy passing things on. So maybe I am a little selfish and motivated by my own pleasures to do this too, I guess. But the important part is just that it's done. That it's noted, it's documented, move on, and go make more history later on.
But do you usually give seminars as well?
I have not up until recently. At Gabe's event, I did do a presentation on tattoo needles. I called it "What's the Point?" And it is virtually everything that I know about tattoo needles, which is way more than anybody else possibly wants to know.
That's interesting.
It breaks down tattoo needles to the individual components, the uses, the everything you can think of, the pin size, the taper size, the configurations. I try and break it down.
I want to watch it. I didn't see this yet.
Yeah, it's
there was a lot I can learn about this.
I think it's about an hour and a half of me just sort of rambling on about tattoo needles. I'm putting together. We're tearing that presentation apart. We are writing. I think we're breaking it into a 5 or 6 part series. So it was written documentation. I notated everything I wanted. Then I had the presentation, and obviously the two are somewhat different. We're going to compile that. We're going to break it into about a 5 or 6 part series and put that together, and just put it out there. I want tattooers to understand their tools, why they can pick up one tattoo needle from one company and it works awesome for one project, but doesn't work well for a different project. And a different needle from a different company works completely polar opposite. Basically saying that they all work, but they have each needle, each pin, each taper, each one has different characteristics that are superior in some areas and totally inferior in other areas. So it's again, it's nerdy stuff, mundane, boring, but there's a small group of people that are going to be, sitting up close, staring at their screens, trying to hear my every word. There's those people, and I want those people to get the knowledge they have. Everybody else is going to be like, it's just a tattoo needle. I can work with any needle. You give me any machine, any needle, and I can do a tattoo. Like I'm never gonna educate or inform those people, or or broaden their horizons. And and they're probably never gonna broaden any of my horizons. They're just sort of stuck in their tunnel vision, and that's that. And I'm stuck in my own tunnel vision. I know that. I'm not claiming to be superior, but it's
no, but I mean,
it's knowledge I have. I honestly consider myself to be an expert in this field. For years, we did market the company as Needlejig as being the tattoo needle experts. So many people out there and so many brands out there have copied what I've done over the years, and not even smart enough to copy it identically, copy it with their own iteration, which serves no purpose. So it's a bad replica more often than not. So but yeah, so I'm kind of taking a gamble here because I'm putting all my cards on the table. Virtually everything I know about tattoo needles will be documented and put out there for the masses, which includes my competitors. So that's where I'm taking the gamble. I might be educating my competition. So I'm a little tiny bit nervous about that, but you know what? Fuck it. It's good information, and it is what it is.
It's your contribution to to industry. I mean, look, that's a common problem, like when people think, like I know something a lot of other people don't really know, should I share it or not? On the other hand, like the moment you share it, it'll put you in a position where you are the authority in that field. And smarter people will then come towards you anyhow. You're the one which provides those information which only you have. So I always see it as a good thing, but that's my I'm like very transparent about everything I do, and a lot of people tell me, are you sharing too much, this, that, but dude, what the fuck do I have to hide? Somebody else wants to do the same thing, then be it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't fear the competition. Here's the thing. My company's not as big as most companies out there. A lot of people think Needlejig is this massive, company, and it's not. I have a good name. I have a good reputation. But that's it. My company is not that big. There are suppliers out there that do 10 times revenue, probably some out there that do 20 times my revenue, and do I look at them as competition? Yes. Am I fearful of them, or do I feel the need to catch them or beat them? No, I don't. I do what I do. That's good enough for me. I provide for many people that work for me and their families, and I make a good living, and I can sleep at night knowing that my products are solid, and I don't need to stick my label on, everything that comes down the pipe. The products I produce are my creations. I physically make them. And it's just that simple. I'm not going to find a skin cream out there that works and change the fragrance and stick my label on it. I'm not going to find any other product out there that's already being made and stick my label on it. It just doesn't. It's fraudulent, if you ask me. I mean, I'm not. I shouldn't say that because I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like I'm judging these other people. That's their business model, and it works awesome for all kinds of businesses and all kinds of industries. And these are still my friends, but it's not me. If I haven't invented, created, developed a product, I don't want to put my name on it. I mean, it just why would I want to do that? I'm creative enough to do my own stuff, and so
to keep it that way. I mean, it's this is what works for you, and it works very well. So why would you change it?
Well, like I said, I'm not trying to change the world. I'm not trying to. I don't need to live like a Rockefeller. That's. I make enough money not to bitch about the gas prices like a lot of other people these days. So there's that, and that leaves me happy inside. I can feed my family, and I'm not worried about the gas prices, and that's all I really care about.
That's a good, again, that's a good position to be in, you know, but it also puts you, like I say, in a state of mind where, yeah, I mean, you're free to do what you like to do best without being afraid of, you know, competition or other people which are going to copy your products or, you know,
I
it's,
give other people ideas all the time.
yeah.
I have projects I'll never get to, and I share them with other machine builders or you know, just I have more ideas than I have time and money. That's my problem.
But that's
you
another
know?
thing.
And if it's a good idea, I'm never going to get to it, and I know somebody else will do a fantastic job with it, then why not? You know, why not share a little bit of knowledge and experience and pass it on to somebody else and help somebody else be successful? You know, I plan on being rich, not rich as in like, you know, stupid money, but like, you know, I already consider myself rich as far as friends and family and things like that go. But I mean, like, I plan on having a reasonable chunk of money, you know, later in life. And I don't want to, let's say, let's dream for a minute here. Let's say I eventually own an island or something like that, right?
Right.
If I could do that. I could be super greedy and I could make a shit ton of money and I can go buy an island. But the amount of people I would have had to burn and step on to get to that point, I'd be on that island alone. And that never makes sense to me. So now, if I can maybe not afford the island alone, but I can help 2 or 3 or 4 other individuals get to the point where they're relatively my financial equals, we'll go buy an island together. And that just sounds a whole lot more pleasant to me
A lot more fun.
than being stupid wealthy on an island alone. You know, I mean, I would have rather be on an island with 5 other people of moderate wealth that's whose company I enjoy. You know, I mean, that's how I
Absolutely.
see things. So I don't know, maybe I'm not greedy enough. I'll have to work on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, like I think this is a perspective which I think very few people could disagree with. I mean, who wants to be alone for the sake of being rich?
How many more years do I have? How much money do I need? Really? Honestly, I mean, let's say I live to be a little over 100. Rubbers. All right, so I got 50 more years.
Oh, you still have a long time to go.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's 50 more years. But I mean, like, you know, realistically, I don't necessarily need to develop rockets and fly into space like the other wealthy or whatever. I don't need all that. I don't want all that. I like nice things, but I don't need anything super excessive. So, you know, I'd rather give you an idea and watch you get there with me. That's all. You know, and I've done it multiple
That's
times.
extremely valuable, you know, if you can add value to other people's lives with your experience and ideas. I mean, that's
A lot of people don't understand that giving is one of life's biggest rewards. And
I know.
and too busy focused on gathering and accumulating and you know, and
We're being educated and being selfish, as you just say, like accumulating shit and then just show off, you know.
and I've gathered my share of crap. I own a lot of stuff, and I've been lucky enough and worked hard enough to be able to do that. But it's never been the driving factor. I'm not trying to gather this stuff. I just happen to gather stuff as I'm going along.
But it's for your own pleasure, right? Is it not to, you know?
Right. And that's really only in the last few years did I start to realize that I was working myself to death and that I needed to force myself to have some enjoyment. You know, so I would buy some things that brought me pleasure eventually, you know, buy a camper. So force me to spend more time with the family and get away from the office, buy a boat so I could get out on the lake again with family and friends and not be working. Because my problem is if I'm not doing one of those other hobbies, I'm working. That's what I do. I would work from morning till night, and
I have the same problem.
and I don't want to even call it work because I love it. I can do it. I physically can work 12, 14 hours a day and not regret it. Occasionally, yes, I do need a day or two, you know, where I start to burn out, where I got to just sort of chill and do nothing or get away. But it's enjoyable for me to work like that. It's just the way I'm wired. I mean, I don't know.
No,
I
no,
know it's not the
understand.
norm.
Yeah, I'm seeing problem. I mean, it's yeah, if I'm not working, I may spend some time with my family, my kid, or whatever. But I mean, I'd rather work on my ideas and on my plans and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that's all I like to do. So.
And if I'm not working, I'm constantly reading or learning about something of interest, or I have this thirst for knowledge that just is relentless. It just doesn't stop. And I
What
can
sign
pick
are you?
Leo.
Yeah, Leo.
Yeah.
What day? Which?
19th, August 19th.
August 19th. I'm from July 17th, so which I'm a Cancer. But
Do you ask that? Isn't that
I never
Cancer?
asked this in my life, but I mean, I can't.
Oh,
wait
now
to
you're
see
sharing
it.
my personal data online.
What's your sign?
No, I'm serious.
Come on.
I never ask
No, I'm sorry.
anybody. I never ever, I never ever ask anyone what kind of sign are you. But I know there's so many things that relate to. So, well, maybe we born on the same day. Something.
Are
Like
you
that.
hitting on me?
Nice.
What sign are you?
No, seriously.
Hey, I do just want to be aware that we're now over the 2-hour mark.
All right.
And
Okay.
you guys we could always catch up again in 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd talk to Alex anytime. I'm enjoying your
Anytime, man.
company. But if you want to cut this off and wrap it up and make 17 videos out of it, go ahead.
Or we can do like for each topic, like a cup, like a few minutes.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
You can make it work.
Dissect
But
it.
let's get a good solid close. Both of you guys, this is great working with two guys that already know how to do this shit. Let's give it a good solid close and we'll give it a wrap. Go get a beer.
Okay.
Remember to say like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you for watching, everyone. And okay, I never seen this before, but remember to check out worldtourevents.com to find all the best tattoo conventions on the planet. And thank you so much to Marc for being here today and sharing his wealth of knowledge about conventions, tattooing, and I would say life and business in general as well. So thank you guys, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Marc, it's been a real pleasure.
You also have to say, find my products at needlejig.com because.
Oh, yeah. Well, Marc has to say it. What shall we say?
What? Oh, what? You want me to do the self-promotion here? All right. So guys, go to needlejig.com if you kind of, dig with my vibe here and you want to be part of my world, man. Just check out the site, hit my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Needlejig Tattoo Supply. And yeah, just if you're digging it, join the team.
Click on it. If you're digging it, click on it.
Is that
Perfect.
good, Gabe? Is
That
that
was
good
great.
enough for you, Gabe?
Usually you end with like some sort of disparaging remark to your people who don't give a shit. Like, if you don't like it, who cares? Just go away. No, you don't usually do that. You did that. That was funny with the last one though. With the, did you get anybody asking you about the new subscribe or talking about the new subscribe video or?
Nobody said anything to me yet. No, I just, I don't think it's got a ton of views. Like,
nah, I mean, it's a private little kind of, or, it's a
no,
very narrow.
I think Fernando released it as just a little short too. So,
oh, cool. Awesome.
I don't know how many views it's got, but I remember seeing
sometimes
it
those
pop
things
up on my
take
newsfeed.
Yeah, could take a while. It might be worth, like those little shorty, well, again, especially for the shorty things or for the TikToks, you could use that as TikTok fodder too, of, just short little snippets of you being, hey, I got a video of fucking, on World Tattoo events with Alex. I fucking couldn't believe it. I thought he was a tattooer. No, maybe we'll leave that part out, but
I can't tattoo you guys. Well, you won't be happy. That's it.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I've got some crap on me, man. I'm sure you'd be fine.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll do it next time then. Once you come to Vietnam, I'll leave you a little souvenir from Vietnam.
There we go.
Well,
Other than
let's
syphilis.
definitely get those dates in the calendar to make sure if it's possible that happens, because yeah, it seems like obviously that would be a fucking thing to do.
Yeah, well, you guys are super, super welcome. I mean,
Well, we'll have to
I'm-
make the effort for sure. If the world fucking wakes up anytime.
Is that how close is that to fucking Hell City? May? Did you say May?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about the dates for Hell City 2023.
You know, he may or may not
I don't
be.
think, I don't think he has released them yet, but let me see when.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing is like, now given you're in an entirely different country, but like, there's only a few shows out there you should try not to like, butt up against, but that might be
Is
one
it-
of them.
It's the 20th to the 22nd, so it'd either be traditionally that.
Oh, I will
Next
be at the
weekend?
beginning. I will be at the
Okay,
beginning
cool.
of
Perfect.
the,
Sweet.
like, the plan is 5 to 7, if I'm not wrong, so,
Perfect.
yeah. That should,
Well, that's one I'd like to go to, not to work, just to hang out,
just
maybe shoot some
enjoy.
videos, have some fun.
Oh man, there is so much to document here, like it's
Oh, yeah.
especially if you, never been to this country.
Well, I'll
you
go.
know.
I'll be happy to work, although I do have a very enjoyable way of working. So I'm not like sweating.
Alex, Vietnam, how widely is English spoken at all? No?
You can get by here with English. Like most people, it depends where you are. Like if you're like in a bigger cities, Hanoi, Saigon, and Da Nang where I live, you will find some people, at least in a tourist area, which speak a little bit of in English. Where I live, there is a huge expat community. So, it's I love it here because like how do you say it? Yeah, there is a lot of English speakers here, so for me it's easy. But my wife is Vietnamese, so for anything else I need, my wife should jump in.
Nice.
I'll be honest, if I would be here by myself without a Vietnamese speaker, it would be very hard to do a lot of basic things, like even buying milk or a piece of bread or whatever. They just won't get it. And I'm trying to learn Vietnamese, but they never understand what I say, so that's a little bit frustrating. But you can move around. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's always easy, but when I'm alone, I try to move around. I can get by, and almost everyone I know does. So, and the people here are super soft and super easygoing. It's a very, very, very friendly people here.
So
When
I
I
just
came
need a
here,
Vietnamese wife.
yeah, that would be the other option. As I understand, you already have one, so like, but it's
My wife is going to be seriously disappointed to find out I'm replacing her, but or maybe she won't be disappointed. Who knows?
So go either way,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
it
not putting
depends
that in
on,
we're not putting that in the video there, Gabe.
no,
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 of course not. No, the video's ended a
right.
couple minutes ago. That's the
off the records.
gets off the record.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you will enjoy it here. I mean, I personally love exotic places, so I'm in my element here. I always had a fascination for Asia my entire life. My grandmother is half Indonesian, so we always have these pictures and stuff like from Asia,
Nice.
like back in.
I'm probably going to end up with a second home somewhere at some point. Like I have a cousin who's married to a Filipino woman
Right.
and can't own land over there, but I could buy land over there through her and lease it from their family. And
Yeah.
then who cares what happens to it when I die? We'll like put a 100-year lease on it or whatever. And then who
Yep.
cares later on? Because they plan on building over there. And he's actually one of my cousin's sons, but
Right.
I'm fairly close to him. I've looked at Belize a little bit, just because it's
Belize.
mostly American speaking.
Yeah,
English-
Malaysia. Everybody speaks English. Everyone.
yeah. So I mean, but like Vietnam has popped up on the radar too a little bit, but I
Vietnam's
don't want to go
awesome.
to a place. I'm too old to learn another language. I'm just not gonna do it. I know me. So I want.
No, I know, but I mean, it could be good here to set up a base for production, distribution, or whatever. I mean, it's a big country, huge potential. It's 100 million people here, and it's a booming economy under every perspective. I mean, it's the only country in the world. I think there's 2 countries in the world which, under the pandemic, they still had quite a growth in terms of GDP. So just because they're shifting from a like fairly agricultural economy to a fully industrial economy right now. Like this is China. China did this 20 years ago. Yeah, they're
Right.
doing it right now. So there's an entire generation of people which is experiencing what happened in China with the past generation again 20 years ago. And so to be in the middle of it for me is like super exciting. I mean,
That's what you're saying. The tattoo world's kind of, 10
Yeah.
years, 15 years ago. So there's the real
Yeah.
opportunity to.
The wife
yeah,
must have, the wife must have known I was talking about her.
oh, she already texted you. She's watching you.
Is there a camera in here besides that one?
Spyware on your computer or on your phone.
I don't
You
know.
guys realize this is streaming out, right?
Oh, well.
No. Okay. Cool. Well, let's you guys could connect via I don't know, Facebooks or some other
Yeah, we're already
methods
on
too, if you want to.
Facebook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, if you need any information, Mark, or you want to know anything, just let me know. Like, and I'm serious. When I come over here, like, I'll take you around here. There's a lot to see, and also for in the tattooing, obviously, outside, whatever you want to do. I mean,
Cool.
It-
No, I've always had an interest in Vietnam and Indonesia and even Malaysia. And like, I don't know why, but I've just always had an interest
you will
in
know
those
once you
areas.
get here. Once you will get here, you'll understand why you have that kind of fascination. I mean, for